crash on board.
These are the most embarrassing crashes of every F1 driver currently on the grid. What better way to kick things off than with the 2024 World Champ? The Dutchman knows how to show off the best of F1.
Verstappen overtaking Nico Rosberg.
What confidence. The boy just goes and finds grip. Boom.
Verstappen on the inside. Sebastian Vettel had to concede the place because the Dutchman certainly wasn't moving. Here comes Max Verstappen at 18 years and 227 days old. Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix.
And the worst.
Time on the inside, a continent touch. Verstappen is out of the race and that's a big crash. Chicane once again, it's wheel to wheel. Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out and they are both out.
I'm kidding, relax. But a moment he'll most likely never forget has to be Hungary 2020. That day the track was wet, and on his way to the grid, just 22 minutes before the race start, this happened.
Got a broken left front truck.
Rookie mistake, man. It was supposed to be a chilled out lap. A pretty ridiculous way to ruin your whole weekend, but he still made it to the grid. Would they pull it off? Honestly, the clock was ticking against him.
Oh, there we go. Look, there's the car being pushed into his grid slot behind me there without his front wing. You can just about see his mechanic starting to put him into his place.
We've got about 18 minutes to go until lights out, so they're very much up against it.
I need to know how long those bits will take to change. Just under 17 minutes to go. At what point do we abandon this so that we comfortably get the car off the grid before do we need 4 minutes to clear that car off the grid?
Yeah, about that.
Okay. Then you know your deadline.
Will Max Verstappen even get past the end of the first lap here? It's going to be an absolute thriller, I think.
And all eyes on Max Verstappen's Red Bull.
Great coordination there on the front of his car.
30 seconds until wheels need to be fully fitted.
Still over 20 seconds, plenty of time. Nice one.
Okay, I just have to say, incredible work, guys. That's unbelievable. Thank you very much.
Huge shout out to the Red Bull mechanics for that miracle. And the race result.
And Max Verstappen goes round the outside looking for third place, and it's a third place. It's the mistake turned into a podium for Max Verstappen, second place for Red Bull.
Which kind of made everyone forget about his little screw up. But you know who didn't get so lucky? Mr. Strulovic.
Big crash on board with Lance Stroll.
Seriously, Daddy's little boy has had so many embarrassing crashes and mess ups, it's kind of hard to keep count, and even harder to just choose one.
It was before, oh my goodness, it was well.
But what he did in Brazil 2024, man, I've got no words for that. On the way to the grid before the race, he lost control of his Aston.
Lance Stroll finds himself off the road.
Pretty embarrassing, but not as bad as Max's, to be fair, since he barely hit the barriers. What do you think he did next? Tried to reverse it back onto the track, or maybe spun it around real quick? Well, it's Strulovic we're talking about here, so of course, he went for the dumbest move possible. Out of the race before it even started. Fuck my life. The Brazilian fans in the grandstands couldn't stop booing and shouting Drugovic. When there's a woat on track, you just know things are gonna go wrong. Just ask Zhou. In Singapore 22, he ended up sharing the track with none other than Latifi.
Hit the wall and Latifi.
And yeah, that definitely didn't end well.
The guy just fully squeezed me into the wall, guys. I don't know what is he doing.
Why is it embarrassing? It's clearly Zhou's fault. Everyone knows it. The first rule of F1 racing, never get near Latifi. And if you do, you get Latifi's.
Right, that's not Mazepin's fault. Latifi comes through. Oh, no!
Another driver who knows exactly what those Singapore barriers feel like is Russell. Let's talk about that final lap of 2023, which was, well, straight up epic. Sainz, Norris, Russell, and Hamilton. All four battling it out for the win. Seriously, anyone could have ended up anywhere. And just when the battle was at its peak, this happened.
Here over two. Oh, and that goes off the Mercedes, and into the barrier goes George Russell. Been struggling on his tyres. Russell's bid for Singapore glory ends up in the barriers.
Bye-bye, Russell. Podium set. Not gonna lie, that camera angle makes it even funnier. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. From this angle, you can see what happened better. Norris came so close to the wall that Russell just ended up eating it.
No! No!
Crashed Crashing at the end of a race like that is pretty embarrassing, and Perez and Sainz know exactly how that feels. On the penultimate lap in Baku 24, they were right on Leclerc's tail, fighting for the last spots on the podium. The three of them were having a solid battle.
Is the writing on the wall for Charles Leclerc, who will defend for as long as he can.
Until this moment,
Perez in the Red Bull moves to the outside, forces his way around, but Leclerc's not having any of it. Forces Perez out wide, and that makes Sainz through on Perez. Teamwork makes the dream work for Ferrari, and Sainz gets up into the podium places, but now Perez coming back, and there's contact between Perez and Sainz into the wall. Disaster for Ferrari and Red Bull. It all happens in the blink of an eye.
wow, that was pretty unnecessary in my opinion. Not sure whose fault it was, but I bet they didn't exactly feel proud getting out of the car after losing a podium like that. And you know what? That's not the only embarrassing crash they've had. Yep, surreal but true. Throwback to Monaco 22 in qualifying. In the final minute of Q3, Perez was pushing to improve his time when out of nowhere, he crashed right before the tunnel. And just a few seconds later, someone else decided to join in on the fun.
I think Perez has gone into the barriers, and Carlos Sainz on the scene as well has made contact.
No words on that. With those two stuck in the middle, qualifying was over right there and then. So yeah, I guess those are the most ridiculous moments for Perez and Sainz. But urban circuits are basically a playground for crashes and mistakes, and a lot of them are pretty ridiculous. If I say Baku, Leclerc, and crash, I'm betting one moment pops into your head. Yep, the one in 2019 during Q2. Leclerc was in 5th, giving it his all to improve his time, when suddenly,
And there's another big crash. It is Charles Leclerc.
he just pushed too hard, I guess. And it didn't take him long to jump on the radio.
I am stupid. I am stupid.
At least he knew his crash was embarrassing. Like with the lap he had already, he would have cruised into Q3 anyway. But hey, that's what happens in F1 when you don't brake enough. You just end up in the barriers. That's why there's a speed limit in the pit lane, right? To stop stuff like this from happening. Well, even OG Hamilton defied that rule. Let's rewind to Montreal 2008. After an early safety car, Hamilton leading the race heads into the pits, with Kubica and Raikkonen right behind. But Hamilton has a slow stop and gets passed by both of them, who then come out side by side and stop at the end of the pit lane because the light's red. But Hamilton, dead set on getting those positions back, totally misses the red light.
Oh, no, the pit lane's closed and Hamilton has hit the back of Kimi Raikkonen.
With zero plans of braking, and neither did Rosberg. I didn't even know it was possible to create so much chaos in the pit lane. Raikkonen's reaction, classic Kimi. With both out, Kubica won the race.
Robert Kubica wins in Canada. He takes the lead in the Drivers' World Championship.
And Hamilton, he got hit with a 10-place grid penalty for the next race. Defo not his smartest move. Honestly, if they have to give you a penalty for crashing just to teach you a lesson, it makes it even more ridiculous and embarrassing. Just ask Magnussen, one of the most kamikaze and aggressive drivers out there.
And I don't think Logan knew he was there.
Magnussen is and will always be stupid. What an idiot. Hunkelman is right.
But the peak of embarrassment has to be this one.
Trying to pull off another overtake, and this time wasn't as special as the move at the first chicane, contact with Pierre Gasly.
It's obviously a stupid and unnecessary crash, but to be honest, it feels pretty on brand for K-Mag. But you know what just tops off the embarrassment? Not only did he get a 10-second penalty, but he was also banned from the next race in Baku. Yep, you heard that right. That crash pushed him to 12 penalty points on his super license. He was the first to hit that mark since the system was put in place, becoming the first driver in 12 years to be banned from a race. Since Mr. Grosjean...
Let's just see here, there's Grosjean behind Ricciardo. He's just launched himself over the rear.
I mean, Grosjean pulled off this dumbass move.
And slowing into the wall. Oh dear, Roman Grosjean and Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton all coming to grief at La Source.
And to think these two would ever be teammates. You know who else would have never expected to be Magnussen's teammate?
Nick Hülkenberg.
Hulk's a pretty solid driver who doesn't usually get into much trouble, but there's one day where he completely forgot how to drive. Let's rewind to Spa 2018.
Lights out and away we go here at Spa. Hamilton gets away well. Perez as well, covering his distance over to cover up Sebastian Vettel, and there's locking up in a crash, and Fernando Alonso goes over the top there as Charles Leclerc Sauber also involved Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah, no intention of braking at all, causing pure chaos. thankfully the halo did its job with Leclerc. But my god, that crash still gives me the chills. Just like Hulk, another damn joke of a move in the first corner came from Bottas in Hungary 21. The track was half wet, so chaos was pretty much guaranteed. But hey, someone had to kick things off, right? That's where Bottas must have thought.
Bottas hits Norris, and Norris hits Verstappen.
He took out 1, 2, finally 3 cars and set off all chaos after that. I get that during a race, nerves are high and drivers make these kind of mistakes, but what about when it happens in free practice? Now that I really don't get. Yet, it's exactly what Albon did in Mexico in 2024. The Williams driver was driving like a maniac in FP1 until he finally lost control.
Oh, that is a big spin into the barrier for Alex Albon.
Yeah, not only did he wreck his own Williams, but he also took out Behrman's Ferrari, who was just trying to rack up some laps. Albon's reaction?
Idiots.
Was he calling himself that, or was it directed at Behrman? Either way, at that point, I just felt bad for the Williams engineers. I mean, who knows how many cars their drivers wrecked that season. One crash Franco Colapinto definitely wouldn't be proud of is the one he had in Q2 in Vegas, while pushing it to the max.
Franco Colapinto, and for the first time this weekend, we have had a driver hit the wall. Gasly goes fourth fastest as the Williams splutters to a halt.
Not another Williams in the wall.
Looked like he was trying to take the corner 2 business days early. No comments. Total rookie mistake. Another rookie who had no idea how to explain what happened when he got back to the garage was Lawson in Qatar's 2023 sprint race. Starting in P14, the Kiwi held it together pretty well in the first corner, but the second one,
And it's Liam Lawson who's gone off the road on the first lap.
not sure if he got nervous or what, but he just lost control of his car all by himself. Stuck on the gravel there, Liam. If there's one thing I've learned from watching F1 for years, it's that it doesn't matter if you're a rookie or an experienced driver. Nothing can save you from ridiculous and embarrassing crashes. Just ask Alonso.
You are flying and you are bouncing around and you see the sky, then you see the ground, you see the sky, and you know exactly where you are and you keep moving, you want to stop.
He doesn't crash much, but when he does, damn, he makes sure both his car and himself are completely wrecked. Out of all the crashes he's had, I'd say the most embarrassing one was with Heidfeld in one of the 2009 Valencia free practices. I'm not sure if Alonso thought Heidfeld was going to go into the pits or what, but the Spaniard completely dive-bombed him with no reason at all. And Heidfeld, well, he just flew. Seriously, what was that, Fernando? And he somehow made it into the pit lane, obviously skipping all lines. But it's not just the pit entry where we've seen embarrassing crashes. The exit can be just as messy. Here's what Tsunoda did in Canada 22 after switching tyres.
Tsunoda came into the pits, went straight on as he came out on cold tyres.
Yep, straight up retired right after changing them.
Sorry, I'm out.
Okay, Yuki, are you okay?
I guess they had the temperature of Uranus. Or leave it out in the comments. But I can't even imagine the mechanics' faces after doing their job and seeing that. Another garage I wouldn't have wanted to be in was Alpine's in Monaco 24. All thanks to Ocon, aka the teammate destroyer.
Never in my life I saw a defense like Esteban.
Must come to blows themselves then afterwards. Big impact into the wall for the two Alpines.
With all the times he's tried to take out his teammates, it's hard to pick just one, but I think Monaco might be the most embarrassing. Though with Ocon, I'll accept other moments too. Decide in the comments. Everyone knows Monaco's a nightmare for overtaking, especially on the first lap when everyone's bunched up and going side by side, so patience is key. But Ocon, patience is definitely not his thing, and when it's with a teammate, even less so.
As two Alpines get into each other.
Gasly couldn't believe what had just happened.
What did he do?
Exactly.
What did he do?
You don't lunge your teammate.
What did he try to attack me?
Red
flag.
And while Ocon, of course, was immediately out,
I need to comment what happened. Didn't leave me space there.
Yeah, you were ahead and he didn't leave you space, I understand.
Gasly somehow managed to turn things around and finish in the points.
Pierre Gasly takes his first point of the season. The party can truly start now.
The teammate destroyer, on the other hand, got hit with 5 grid penalties for the next race. And let's be honest, it's obviously no coincidence that this was announced not long after. But even Gasly knows what happens when you have a stupid, unnecessary crash, not with your teammate, but with your brand teammate. Back when he was at Red Bull, if anyone remembers that, he was battling with Albon's Toro Rosso and Hockenheim, and impatience got the best of him, so he ended up doing this. And just like Ocon, not long after that, a pretty harsh announcement came for Gasly. But to be fair, Gasly's not the kind of driver who crashes a lot. When he does, it's usually because of someone else. Same goes for my boy Piastri. He's usually pretty clean, but in Abu Dhabi 2024, he didn't exactly have the smoothest race. In the first corner, Max bumped into him.
Under pressure for Verstappen, and there's contact between Piastri and Verstappen.
And on lap 28, Piastri jumped into the chaos and took poor Colapinto out with this.
Oh, when he touches, he makes contact there with Franco Colapinto.
It's a miracle his front wing didn't just fall off or something. His teammate Norris doesn't crash much either, but like Piastri, one completely unnecessary and embarrassing moment for him was Miami 2022.
Perez in third place, and oh dear, Lando Norris has made contact with the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly.
Norris himself said it was a pretty dumb accident, to put it nicely.
A shame, I think it just ended in a silly way.
But hey, what would F1 be without these stupid, ridiculous, and embarrassing crashes? They're what make the sport fun, and we can't help but laugh when they happen, because let's face it, they happen pretty often, especially from these guys. If you haven't already, make sure to watch these. You'll see what I mean. And as always, thank you for watching.